when the person asking to sit in the most respected seat in our country imitated a disabled reporter, someone he outranked in privilege, power, and the capacity to fight back. And this instinct to humiliate, when it's modeled.
Meryl Streep just delivered a live TV bombshell, and now the internet is going crazy. But what horrible secret did she just reveal about Donald Trump? Did his spray tan get a restraining order? Or did she reveal something so jaw-dropping that even his Twitter feed is suspiciously quiet? This is the type of drama that makes reality TV look staged. So what's real? Let's dissect it all before Trump tweets regarding, so apparently the room is deafeningly silent. Well, except for the sound of one very orange man likely launching phone over a gold-plated room. Meryl just dropped a truth bomb so heavy it likely caused a small earthquake at Mar-a-Lago. The weight of reality is doing something absolutely horrifying, making people think. And if there's one thing someone has been avoiding for years, it's people using their brains. There's nothing more frightening to an insecure man than a smart, capable woman calling him out in front of an audience that actually knows how to read. The panic must be setting in.
It's embarrassing and it's terrifying to put the target on your forehead, and it sets you up for all sorts of attacks and armies of brown shirts and bots and worse. And the only way you can do it is to feel you have to. You have to. You don't have an option. You have to. Stand up, speak up, act.
There's nothing. Somewhere in the depths of his gold-soaked lair, a team of PR people is racing to put out a fire they definitely did not sign up for. Because what do you do when one of the greatest actresses of all time calls you out? Not with wild accusations or tabloid drivel, but with actual facts. You flail, you deflect, and hope that screaming it loudly enough somehow erases reality. And oh, the irony. The man who spent years crafting his whole persona around telling it like it is now witnessing someone else do it. Except this time, it's not an act, and it's certainly not written by some desperate speechwriter trying to shoehorn 3 falsehoods into every sentence. No, this is something far worse for him. It's irrefutable Q. The meltdown in a matter of minutes. There's a social media T8 so wild, it shatters the spell check feature on all systems.
I am Jesse Dollemore with the Occupy Democrats Report. So last night was the Golden Globes, and Meryl Streep gave a graceful acceptance speech in which she called for the support of the constitutionally protected free press, but also for kindness from everyone generally, but specifically our next president.
Suddenly comes an aggressive insistence that Meryl has nothing to do with anything, that nobody sees her films, and that he really has a whole lot more. Awards, most likely the best awards, biggest. Awards so magnificent, Hollywood's green with envy, while the rest of humanity gets busy, replaying the clip, frame by frame, replaying each syllable, each well-timed pause, and each devastatingly spot-on remark that left us someone redder than normal. That was a question. Perhaps there's a new conspiracy theory added for good measure, something to do with lizard people who run Hollywood and are jealous of his flawless genes. Anything to take attention away from the fact that for once, he can't talk his way out of the truth somewhere. Meryl Stray is sipping tea, knowing full well she just destroyed a man's entire ego in under 5 minutes. Or maybe, just maybe, it's something even bigger. Something so ridiculous, so deeply humiliating that even his most die-hard followers had to stop mid-chant and say, "Wait, what?" Because let's be real. His actual net worth is like a ghost. Always spoken of, never actually seen 1 minute. He's apparently wealthier than nations. The next, he's in court, playing like his wallet is thinner than his grip on sanity. It's nearly impressive how his money appears to magically grow and shrink based on whether he's boasting or trying to get out of something. A real financial shapeshifter. But if that wasn't it, then perhaps, finally, the truth was revealed about his hair, because seriously, what is that? No regular follicle structure acts like. That is it. A wig, a tiny terrified animal clinging for dear life, ACL, being from another dimension, frantically trying to get away.
Streep had some strong words for Donald Trump during her acceptance speech at the Golden Globes.
And conservatives don't seem to have an abundant supply of that these days. Okay, now then when she turned to Trump, she never said Trump, but it was obviously what she was talking about. Trump keeps denying that he did it to the reporter, but we've shown you the video 1,000 times.
We have the video for you.
Here.
Whatever it is, it's somehow both rigid and flaccid at the same moment, like a cotton candy statue that was left outside in the sun, just a tad too long. And speaking of things that violate science, Let's discuss that mythical tan. You know the one. The artificial radioactive sheen appears unhealthy, more sun-kissed, rather than victim of a failed science experiment. If Meryl actually verified that the color isn't from a spray can, but from a clandestine government waste recycling project, gone awry, would anyone actually be shocked that color doesn't occur in nature? It's as if someone attempted to Photoshop a human and just got a bit too overzealous with the saturation slider, and yet no one appears to have ever actually witnessed the real tanning process. No salons coming forward with pride, no behind-the-scenes video footage of the glow up at work. Nothing. It's a mystery, one that likely contains industrial-strength laser and dedication to appearing like a traffic cone in all illumination conditions. Let's take a minute to be serious, because whatever Meryl uncovered was awful enough to send the internet into a full-blown meltdown. After one of his business meetings, the damage control machine went into overdrive, hurrying to clean up the mess faster than a 5-star hotel staff predictable.
How are you?
I have a lot of money, and I built a lot of wall.
What are you doing here?
I'm going to be signing a national emergency, and it's been signed many times before.
So you don't read Runway?
No, because you have an agenda, and you're fake news.
You have no style or sense of fashion.
It should have been better. And you know what?
No. That wasn't a question.
I think, however, what is unpredictable, how he would react, because his response is always somewhere between baffling and completely insane. When his ego is bruised, would it be an all-caps rant so long that Twitter servers plead for mercy? Would he attempt to flip the script by claiming he actually outed her? Or in true style, would he try something even more absurd to deflect everyone? A sudden announcement about running for King of the Moon, a press conference where he insists he actually created Hollywood. One thing is certain, whatever Meryl revealed, it was not meant to be seen by the light of day. But now that it is, the fallout is going to be totally hysterical to watch. And in an instant, the internet does what it does best. Absol. Total chaos. Twitter is spewing at the mouth. Instagram is swamped with memes, quicker than he can shut them down, and TikTok. Oh, TikTok is war with Gen Z, splicing edit after edit. Together his most legendary moments with clown music and slow-motion zooms, while his most dedicated fans are out here attempting digital CPR on his image, which by now has the structural integrity of a Jenga tower during an earthquake over in the world of late-night comedy. It's Christmas morning, Donald Trump this morning. But there is fresh fallout from that face-off between him and Meryl Streep. ABC's David Wright has all the facts. Good morning, David. Good morning. George Donald Trump clearly still seething about that speech, and Meryl Streep is in good company. Trump practically seems to be at war with Hollywood these days, and the question now, will they pay a price, after all? They've made an enemy of the man who's soon to be president. When the powerful use their position to intimidate others, we all lose Meryl Streep, called Trump out amongst other things for ridiculing a New York Times reporter who was disabled. Trump insists he did not do it. But judge for yourself. You gotta see this fellow. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't recall. It kind of broke my heart when I watched it. And I still can't shake it from my head because it wasn't in a film. It was real life. You have maybe the most respected actress of her generation, simply making a straight appeal to individuals in Hollywood to stay on their toes and to resist Donald Trump. May close his eyes and dismiss Stray now as Hollywood's most overrated actress, but only 2 years ago, he described her work as excellent. It's merely encouraged her supporters to make this hashtag go viral, things Trump considers to be overrated. Actress Emmy Rossum tweeted taxes, audio recordings, factual information, spelling another listed. Hamilton, Jon Stewart, Jerry Seinfeld, make writers don't even need to work. Just roll the footage of him responding is comedy. Gold in and of itself. His facial expression change between forced bravado, visible confusion, and that old, I definitely knew what was just said, nod, despite all indications to the contrary. Somewhere in the mess, there's a hapless intern charged with explaining the internet to him. And let's be honest, that job should include hazard pay, but the real show...
Written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
He's going like, I don't remember. Oh, maybe that's what I said. This is 14 years ago. They didn't do a retraction.
His reaction? Because silence is never an option, rather than an ignoring, like a sane human. He's rage typing with the fury of a keyboard, warrior who just got owned in an internet debate. And of course the typos. Oh, the glorious typos, each one of which is making spell check cry quietly into its programming. His sentences begin properly and then deteriorate into something that resembles autocorrect, having thrown up its hands in mid-sentence and leaving fate to take the wheel somewhere in his bunker. He's planning his next move, which, let's be honest, could be anything from proclaiming Meryl Streep a failed actress to claiming that he was the one who actually spurred her acting career in the first place. Maybe he'll add in a new conspiracy theory, just for kicks, something crazy, something totally off subject. Maybe state that she's involved with an underground club at Hollywood where actors clandestinely manipulate the weather, I think. If there's one thing that you could say about Meryl Streep, it is that she is not overrated. I mean, that's like saying Gandhi isn't a good statesman, Martin Luther King, not a good speechmaker. I mean, if you check great actress in the encyclopedia, you will find Meryl Streep's face there. And she's better than all of them Brando. Any of them who've ever. She's the best actress who's ever, or actor who's ever lived. So to say, she's overrated. Just proves that you don't understand acting. There are some days when I myself feel I'm overrated.
I think that what she said, was really, the section she talked about bullying, and when people in these positions of power bully, it gives permission to everybody watching to engage in that kind of behavior, and I thought that was a really good point. Very good point. And look, he's about to assume the presidency, and it's the most consequential thing he'll ever do in his life, and I think, I hope that he can rise above, some of those kind of more boorish behavior that he exhibited as an entertainer, but now as the president.
But not today. Sounds absurd precisely, which is to say, it's likely to be occurring as we speak. Naturally, his supporters are quick to jump into action. A combination of political operatives, social media interns, and that one uncle who gets all his news from fuzzy Facebook snapshots converge to run the most fucking insane defense campaign possible. There are theories, there are distraction, CS, there are photoshopped images so terrible that even Ms. Paint needs an apology. Someone somewhere is just going to claim this was deep fake technology, because when reality is in the way, the solution is always, the internet must be lying. But let's not act like this is new. It's the same meltdown formula that's been tried, tested, and true. Step 1, deny. Step 2, attack. Step 3, change the subject entirely. If things go really bad, expect a sudden announcement about something completely unrelated, a comeback tour, a biggest deal in history, or some policy decision that totally wasn't made up 5 minutes ago. Meanwhile, the rest of the world sitting back, popcorn in hand, watching the circus happen one chaotic, grammatically disastrous post at a time. If we live through this desperate moment, if his fatalistic impulse to strike back doesn't take us to nuclear winter, we'll owe a lot to this president, because he will have awakened us to how delicate freedom actually is. And just like clockwork, the comeback bid is already underway, because if there's one thing you can count on about this guy, it's that he simply can't leave well enough alone. Ignoring it, that would call for self-control. And let's be real, that's as scarce as him conceding. He lost something so naturally. What ensues is an all-caps, barely understandable tirade that appears to have been dictated to a broken eye and auto-corrected by a befuddled intern. Words will be misspelled, facts will be brutally distorted, and somehow, against all odds, he will make himself the victim of a circumstance he approached head first. And because this is Trump, style damage control, the approach isn't to debunk anything, because that would take logic and evidence, but instead to divert with something even louder, and dumber perhaps, a brand new lawsuit, because what better way to deal with bad press than with more legal drama? Perhaps another case so ridiculous that even his own lawyers are rehearsing their "I had nothing to do with this" faces in the mirrors. The claims will be absurd, the accusations will be crazily contradictory, and when the judge inevitably throws out the case with the judicial version of in my role, he'll bemoan how the system is stacked against billionaires. Of course, no tweets so far from Donald Trump this morning, but there is new fallout from that confrontation between him and Meryl. But wait, why limit to legal stunts? When there's golf, nothing says completely unbothered, like holding an emergency golf tournament in his own name on his own land with himself as the automatic champion. There will be a massive trophy, too, huge for the event at hand, and a scorecard so phony that even his most devout fans will be like, "Sir, no one achieves that many hole-in-ones," and yet when pressed, he will claim he's always been a golf great, that people are dubbing him a golf genius, and that the PGA is envious of his abilities. It will be an actual spectacle, complete with cringe-worthy fist bumps, forced applause, and one very bewildered golfer who had simply come out to play a regular game and stumbled upon a one-man victory parade. But why not go all performance mode and make the declaration that being exposed is a mark of greatness? No one gets exposed like me, the best people, get exposed. In fact, no one has ever been exposed better than me. And suddenly, what is supposed to be embarrassing now becomes a badge of honor, because reality is, whatever he makes it. And suddenly, his most ardent followers are somehow persuaded that public humiliation is somehow a presidential success. Donald Trump under fire, anew for something he did last night on the campaign trail in South Carolina, while defending his discredited assertion that he witnessed thousands of Muslims rejoicing over the fall of the Twin Towers here in New York. He seemed to mock a disabled reporter. Take a look, authored by a good reporter.
If there's one thing that you could say about Meryl Streep, it is that she is not overrated. I mean, that's like saying Gandhi isn't a good statesman. Martin Luther King, not a good speechmaker.
Right.
I mean, if you look up great actress in the encyclopedia, you will see Meryl Streep's face there. And she's better than any of them. Brando, any of them who've ever, she's the best actress who's ever, or actor who's ever lived. So to say she's overrated just shows that you don't understand acting.
Now the poor bloke. You gotta witness this guy. I don't know what I said. And so the cycle starts, a distraction so big, so loud, and so pointlessly ridiculous that somehow everyone forgets why we were laughing at him in the first place. Until, of course, the next disaster comes along. And with him, it's never a matter of if, but when. And let's be real. This isn't just about one cringeworthy moment of public humiliation. It's about a walking, talking circus act, finally running out of tricks. For years, the guy has lived off spectacle, turning every scandal into a sideshow, every controversy into a punchline. But here's the thing. When the smoke clears and the carnival music stops, what's left in the paper-thin reputation built on volume, not value, for someone who spent years bragging about being the best, the smartest, the most successful president. As far as he's concerned, it certainly is uncomfortable when reality continues to disprove otherwise. The emperor's new clothes, more like the emperor's invisible business acumen, invisible political strategy, and invisible basic grasp of facts. No carefully constructed illusion can conceal that indefinitely. And when someone with real credibility peels back the curtain, suddenly the magic act looks a whole lot more like a badly run scam. People that I spoke to at the parties last night, they were all very much in support of what she said. They were all giving her loud hand claps and saying that it was much needed. Now, there has been some varied reaction, such as you said on social media. There are a huge majority of individuals there that are Trump supporters, or not really supporters of what she did, that felt maybe she shouldn't have used that moment to go out and make a political statement. But in Mar. But here's where it gets even more ridiculous. Instead of reflection or, perhaps just embracing defeat, like a man grown up, expect the standard defensive breakdown. The blame game will begin the media, Hollywood, the deep state, perhaps even the teleprompter. Perhaps he'll just outright deny that it occurred after all. Reality has never before been a deal killer. Yet, no amount of distraction, hyperbole, or last-ditch social media postings can wipe out one simple truth. When somebody with real intellect and ability talks, people have a listen. And when they dismantle the myth he's constructed around himself, the only thing still standing is the inescapable fact, one he spent his whole life fleeing. Of course, denial is the opening gambit. It always is. Look forward to a barely lucid, typo-filled diatribe that manages to blame everyone except himself, the media, the deep state, most likely even the theory of gravity. If that doesn't cut it, there's always the tried and trusted deflection technique. Toss out something so strange, so needlessly out of left field, that people lose sight of what they were discussing in the first place, perhaps a breaking news announcement of his golf statistics, or a last-minute assertion that he was really the one who invented electricity, the most hyped and most over-decorated. And now I am the most over-berated football-loving actress of my generation, but that's why you invited me here, right? The burden of all my awards is part of what brings me to the podium. And then there's the official damage control plan. Push someone else into the limelight. Perhaps a last-ditch effort to pull another celebrity into the fray, because if there's one thing this man is convinced of, it's making distractions. Will there be an impromptu feud with Big Bird, an emergency press conference, to reveal his new completely not fabricated award for being the best president in the history of presidents? If history has taught us anything, it's that he'll definitely attempt to spin this as a win. And let's not forget the rally route, a theater full of adoring fans where facts are merely ornamental and history is rewritten on the fly. He'll likely define himself as the most victimized human to have ever lived. Claim, Meryl Streep is simply envious of his success, and if things get absolutely desperate, break out the old reliable, I'm the best at being criticized shtick. But the question isn't what he'll say, it's how much more ridiculous this can possibly become. Because if there's one thing that's a sure bet, it's that this won't end in dignity. It'll end in an all-caps meltdown, a conspiracy theory, and perhaps an ill-conceived merchandise drop.